Hello, this is the instructor's introduction for light and color. So, of course, you're going to want to read all the great text that I provided for you. With this learning unit, it is text only, so I don't have a lecture, an instructor's lecture for light and color. I've just provided for you a lot of great information that you're going to want to read about, and then a lot of really great videos. So for example, this 2-minute video is an excellent, interesting video about the history of color, and it talks about some really cool concepts that throughout history, how colors have evolved and what they meant historically and how that affects contemporary artists' use of colors today. So be sure to check that out. And then there's a couple of other links. These are going to take you to some great videos that you're going to want to check out if you want to learn more about the history of color. The overview of activities, you're watching this video, but if you want to watch it again, that's great. Of course, you're going to want to download the color and light reading for this week and go through all the really interesting information that covers some pretty cool stuff about different artists and how they use light from a historical point of view, from a more contemporary point of view, and just like all the different concepts of how we as artists and how people interpret color through the concept of light and dark. And so how a series of paintings can be very different when they're in a lighter color palette as opposed to a darker color palette. So that idea of value and tone. And just different ways that artists have used the concept of light, highlights, shadows, how they used whites to visually produce the idea of light throughout history, and even how that's used on a contemporary level. Something else that's interesting to think about is within this idea of light and color, even though this image is in black and white, we look at it from its contrast and how the conceptual ideas from the concept of contrast and tonal value, and how the tonal values can also affect the imagery of what an artist is trying to communicate. So I want you to really take your time to review the reading and think about all these different artists that I'm asking you to think about. And the readings are helpful with the weekly quiz. So be sure to review all the great information that's provided in the weekly reading. There's a weekly quiz and the midterm exam. All of the dates for everything is available on Canvas, and then there's a discussion post. And because we have the weekly quiz and the midterm exam, there's only one discussion post, which is the vocabulary. This is just a reminder that there's a lot of required videos to watch, but not a lecture. This is a great summary about color. So review all the information that I've gathered for you, and then watch this really great 7-minute video about the effects of color. And this is a really great video where they interview a couple of different people who look at color from a philosophical perspective. And one of the things that's cool about this video is it talks about the effects of color and the 3 types of association within color. So there's the universal effect and the associations, how we universally think about color, and how that's depicted in films and in artwork and even in social media and also propaganda, political imagery that is used. And so there's the universal, there's the cultural, so certain colors might have a different effect than others depending upon your cultural relationship to the colors. And then there's your individual relationship to how you personally feel about different colors. So check this out. And then I gathered a lot of information about how Pixar uses color and how color and light can have a big impact on the emotional effects of color. So a couple of really important videos to check out and some other really great links if you want to learn more about how Pixar interprets light and color and how the emotions from basically what's a drawing or a digital drawing has such a big impact on you. So check those out. Light and shadow. This is a great video that I found about how artists use light and shadow. And one of the artists that we're focusing on with this learning unit is Dan Flavin. And his use of color and light through the fluorescent paintings that he makes, to be quite honest. And so check out all these things as well. And remember that a lot of these links go, so if you click on any of these links, it takes you off of Canvas, but to a great website where you can see the work by James Turrell, who's one of my favorite artists who uses light, who, again, the light creates shape and space, and information about his work is available on this website. So check that out. And then I've gathered a bunch of information about the color, light and color terms. And so these are things that you can use for this week's vocabulary if you choose. And another great video on Gerhard Richter's work. This is one of his paintings. So you can learn more about his creative process as well. And a bunch of other great links about his work. Also, I'll be introducing you to Mary Cassatt and her creative process. And so remember, when you see these blue highlighted areas, these are links. And so this one is going to take you to a really cool website that talks about some of the old masters and the European artists and how they've used light and how light was such a big part of their painting process. So you might want to check that out as well. So these are all really great links. There's a couple of required videos so you can learn more about Mary Cassatt's life and then her creative process as well. Chuck Close is another artist who uses this idea of mixing colors and working off something called working on the grid. And so you're going to want to watch this video about his creative process. And if you like his work and want to learn more about him and use his artwork as part of your vocabulary discussion post, there's some more links for you to review. And then I'm also going to introduce you to this idea of optical mixing. And so how colors mix paint and the way that they use their brush to be able to influence our eye and the unique way that our eye interprets color and light. So again, all of these blue highlighted areas lead you to some really awesome links that will help you to understand even further the ideas of color and light within the artistic palette. This is a really great video. It's only 3 minutes and it talks about how Chuck Close's creative process is really about this grid concept, which goes back to the concept of photorealism. These are a bunch of helpful links, so I want you to check them out if you feel like it. They're not required, but a lot of these might be really helpful in better understanding these concepts of color and light. And then there's a vocabulary with a 2-minute video that goes over the homework requirements, the color and light weekly quiz, and then finally the midterm exam, and all the dates are available on Canvas. So keep me posted with any questions. Thank you.